Ladies and gentlemen, the goose is loose. Welcome back to the world of Last Epoch. We're still pushing on with our warlock, and it's starting to feel like this might be the new and third main. It's really come on a little bit. So I did one stream, which was Saturday, a couple of days ago. I've updated the build a little bit since then. I've updated the build in my build planner. No idea whether it's going to work. And I've updated a few bits of gear, and that's taken us up a few levels. We're at 76 now, which is pretty good. But it's also taken up our defences. So at the end of the last stream, I think we were level 61. And we were at about 1889 ward. We've now gone up by about 3,000 to 4,870. We're not going to get wedded to that number because that number is likely to drop quite significantly as we go tonight. I have a new legendary weapon, unique weapon, and it will change the way this build plays. So we're going to try that out a bit later. Dark man, in like a bang. We've been going 2 seconds, and we've got the Canadian powerhouse in the place to be. How you doing, buddy? Very, very good to see you, my friend. You've joined us at an exciting time. We are about to test this build. We're going to do a couple of things tonight. So Saturday's stream, we got into a lot of conversation about how different things worked, and people came on and asked questions. And I did. Indeedy, my friend. That is the only way to refer to it. But we did a lot of chatting and a lot of looking at prophecies and deciding on gear, and having spent a long time trying to get the new quality of this stream up. And I think it's improved. Hopefully it looks better. We're not getting the pixelation. The bitrate should be better. Although I need to check that because my Streamlabs absolutely messed up as I came on, which is why I'm quite so late. It lost my camera and a variety of other things, but we appear to be moving around without a lot of pixelation, so the quality of the stream should be way, way better. That is how I'm going to make my fortune, and I'm not even sure I'd need fake ones now. You know, mid-40s, things happen. Tonight we're going to just try and push content. We're going to have a very chill stream. We're going to be chatting, we're going to be messing around, and we are going to be trying to get to empowered monoliths, which means I need to take down the 3 level 90 monoliths. Last Ruin, Age of Winter, and Spirits of Fire. Well, I did Age of Winter this morning, So we're 1 down, 2 to go, and we're in Last Ruin at the moment, and we've already done the first 2 quests. So all we need to do is crush some more echoes until we get enough stability at 400 to run the boss. And the boss in here is tough because he does a lot of damage over time damage, and you've got to be quite sneaky with him. And my move speed on this character is bad, so I'm not sure if we're not going to have to play around with a few different things just to try and get it working and get the moves a good workout. You crack me up, Dark, you're a genius. So we're going to crush some echoes. We're going to push through this, fight the boss, hopefully beat the boss, and then we're going to do the last one, and that will give us empowered monoliths. Now along the way we've got our brand new weapon, which will totally change the way this build plays. But I'm going to wait because I know a couple of other people said they might drop by. When we've got a few more people, so I don't have to go over it twice, we're going to throw on the new legendary, or the new unique, and we're going to see if my theory for this build works as well as I hope it will when we get into practice. But I'm not going to do it now because you only get one chance to make that first impression, and this build is working now. You know, it's doing damage, it's pushing content. So for now we're just going to hit a few more echoes, try and find some XP echoes, make some levels, crush some stuff, and have a casual chat. So let's have a look. Destroy some void spires. So the build is still working pretty well. We're quite manoeuvrable. We've not got very good move speed, but we are able to jump around quite a lot thanks to some of our other abilities. We've got much better mana regen than we had, and that's helping us out a lot because we're not having to be quite so conservative about just dropping these. And what we can do is drop those rifts, then do nothing. We just let the rifts do the work for us, and they do it well. And while they're doing that, we can be assessing this loot and deciding on whether we want any of it. Look at that. It just shreds at these levels. You know, I'm 14 levels under, and it's still working very well. Right, what's that? Dodge rating? No. We'll try not to stand in the stuff too much. Health regen, frailty on hit. See, even just standing in the stuff is not a problem. Elemental damage and int. Yeah, when you can stand in the goo that badly, you know the build is doing its job. Right, chuck a couple of those, suck the souls out of everything. So this is something we tried at the very end of the last stream. We tried putting on Soul Feast. And Soul Feast didn't work for us, and the main reason was it was really expensive. It just drained our mana like that. Since then we've got a bit more mana, and we've got a bit more mana regen. We're up to 15 mana regen. But also, having specced into Soul Feast, I've taken its cost from 15 down to 5, which makes a big difference. So it's now spammable. In fact, if I get rid of these guys, just so that we're not getting annihilated, I can sit and spam it, and it spams with my current cast speed at about the same rate as my mana drains, or my mana refreshes. So if I stand here just holding down Soul Feast and doing this skull, 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 you'll see that my mana never really drops. In fact, it is still slowly going back up and getting back up to cap. So we can now spam Soul Feast, and all it really does is stop our mana regenerating as quickly, which means we can drop some rifts, and we can either spam Soul Feast so that once the rifts have cursed everyone, once the chthonic fissures have cursed all our targets, we can then rip the souls out of them for a huge amount of damage. Chthonic Fissure, which is our sort of main damage skill, is doing about 5,300 DPS. Soul Feast is doing 7,800. So Soul Feast is way more effective, but Soul Feast only works on targets that are cursed. So I have to wait for the Rift to curse them first. This is where I think the new build is going to work very well. We're going to move to a staff that when we cast Soul Feast, it will curse up to, at the moment, 9 enemies for us, but I'm hoping pretty soon more like 11, outside the range of the screen. So it will apply the same curse that we get from our Rift, our Fissure, but it will simultaneously apply it to up to 9 targets and then immediately start ripping it back out of them. So we should be able to just spam that and annihilate almost anything on the screen. Now we're going to lose a bit of survivability doing that, because we're rolling a staff. We're not going to be able to have our offhand catalyst, which at the moment is giving us quite a lot of our ward. So our offhand catalyst at the moment gives us ward per second, intelligence and ward retention, as well as more ward per second in the suffixes. So we're getting a ton of ward from this, and in fact I experimented with it earlier, and I think if we take it off we lose about 1300 static ward. We go from about 4800, which is where this settles out, and we go down to about 3600, something like that. No, 3500, yeah. What's that got on it? Oh, that's directly casting Chaos Bolts. We're not directly casting Chaos Bolts. Still, worth shattering that, I think, because we might change the build up later and decide we want to do that. That's a 1 legendary potential Viper Tail. Nice. So here we go. We've made a chunk. If we grab this one, we're going to make 10 to 32 more stability, and we're going to get then to an XP node. So we're just going to push forwards. Anyone pops in, anyone wants to chat, feel free. I am going to be focusing as little as I can on the screen, really. We're just going to do repetitive things and hope that good things happen. Oh, absolutely, that is an affix we want beyond all others. In fact, that should have emphasised it. It didn't. It's a shame. I need to play with my loot filter. It's not emphasising some of the items I thought it would. That's a very big spider. Yeah, it's upside down now. Right, apparently I've picked that up. I don't know what it was. We'll find out when we get back to base. But I mean, this is a good lazy build. If we're going to really try and push into empowered monoliths tonight, we need to be making pretty rapid progress. But I also quite fancy a bit of a chill stream, and we'll just see where we get to. So we're going to just keep running these echoes until we're ready to face the boss. The boss should be an interesting encounter, probably quite a difficult one. And then we'll push on to the next monolith and see how far up that we can get in an evening. But we're not going to speed run these things. We're going to have plenty of time for nattering in between, checking out what's going on. Get out of here. What am I actually supposed to be doing? Patrolling internal husks. Right, well in that case, best way we can do that is grab whatever shrines we get, keep dropping the chthonic fissures, and just keep moving. Oh man, they've run completely away now. Some of these patrolling mobs move quite quickly to different sides of the map if you're not careful. We're not right now going to be hitting up the exiled mages in the rune prisons. I just want to get through this content. The thing I love about this build is if I'm playing it like this, where I'm just running through, I'm not stopping to make sure everything's dead, I'm not stopping to harvest things. Oh, there's the other one as well. Nice. Well, that'll make it easy for us. Done. But yeah, we're not stopping to pick everything up, we're not stopping to grab all the gold or anything like that. We're just getting through for the stability. Because we're going to get better items, and we're going to get more XP, and we're going to get more gold as soon as we hit empowered. So that's our priority. But this build lets you do that, because even doing that, I've gone more than halfway on the bonus stability, because I drop a chthonic fissure, I keep moving, and behind me it's busy nuking everything in that area for me. Let's just have a quick look and make sure that doesn't drop anything. No, it doesn't. So we've got a Mask of Life. No, thank you. Yes. And no, thank you. Right, we should be able to get some XP from the next one, and we're actually already... Ooh, never seen that before. It's a minion job, but would work quite well for a necro build. We're over halfway to 77 already, which is nice, because every single passive point is going to make us quite a bit better. Right, you can go... You can definitely go. Yeah, you can go as well. Not really sure we want that. Move speed's nice, but not now. Crit strike avoidance, though, is absolutely gold. In fact, if we popped that on, Yeah, we'll definitely hang on to that one because crit strike avoidance is about 50% for us now, so if we put that ring on, we would be capped and we would never take crits, which is definitely something that we want to experiment with. Put those two in there, go to my uniques. We've got Dragon Song with legendary potential, which I don't think I have any others of. No, I don't. And we've got this thing and this thing. Well, I didn't check. That one does not have LP. Let's put it in the non-legendary potential tab so that I don't get confused. Right, marvellous. So we'll grab the XP and that will then push us a little bit further with stability, and we're just going to slowly clear these. At the moment, running non-empowered monoliths, this build is so chill. The chance to die is very low. You press a button and I'm not doing anything and everything's busy being killed by my chthonic fissure. So we can really fail to concentrate even with the level deficit, and perhaps just focus our eyes a little when the boss comes up or when something drops that we might want to take. None of which is happening. And we'll just keep dropping those. We need to destroy some imprisoned spires. So we are not going to be trying to max these rifts out. We're not going to be trying to get maximum stability from them. We're just going to go for doing more rifts because that gives us more chance of finding cool stuff, including XP. And we're going to see, I'm pretty sure we can get the boss out, no problem. Not sure whether we can kill him, but we can certainly get to him. And then it's how far into the last one, the fire monolith, that we can get before the end of the stream. And if we can get far enough, we'll get to taste empowered. And I'm interested by empowered monoliths because that's where my Beastmaster really started to struggle. Yeah, we'll have that please. That's tier 7 necrotic damage. That's such a shame it's on a scepter. That would make an amazing legendary item when combined with a unique. Alright, where are we going? Over here for the next one. Look, I mean, look at the range on it. It's shooting these guys from a screen and a half away. I keep coughing up extra chthonic fissures, but I really don't need to. They deal with everything. It's just death and destruction in your wake. Okay. Right, so now we can just destroy the imprisoned spire, which will passively destroy everything else. Damage over time for minions we don't care about because we're not running minions. I've given up picking up pretty much anything that isn't for this build, which is what gives me the hint that this is probably going to be my new main. You know, when I was running the Forge Guard, I was picking up Beastmaster stuff, just in case I made a Beastmaster, and I was picking up Rogue stuff and Acolyte stuff. I'm not really doing that here, we're just trying to make this particular build better and better and better. Because I think, even with the slightly crushed survivability that we're going to get when we put the staff on, I think the increase in DPS and the increase in utility, the speed at which we kill things and how easy it is to do that, we're going to see that we do okay in empowereds. You know, we're going to die in empowered monoliths, of course we are, but I don't think we're going to die every other one necessarily. And that was the problem we had with the Beastmaster, was it was about 50-50. We really had to pay attention. You couldn't take your eyes off the screen for a second. And even when you did pay attention and keep your eyes on the screen, every now and again you'd get a stacking damage over time debuff and you'd just get absolutely annihilated. So I do think this gives us a much better chance to sort of chill our way through things and crush content without stressing too much. What have we got? Drops idols. Oh, here's the dude. Hello, the dude. Let's go a little bit of void damage and then let's just drain him. Oh, wow, he died before he could cough out that final move. That was rather nice. Slow on here. Now, this is supposed to be good. Fizz, Res and Vitality. Not amazing. We'll have them all for now. We're not making bad gold either. When I started the stream, we had 11,000 gold. And we now have 109,000. Pretty sure we were on 11k because I'd been buying Runes of Shattering, which I need to do again actually. So those are used in crafting. We use those a lot. Just buy it already. And we always run out. Right, what's this? Gladiator's Oath. I think I have one of these already. Do I have a legendary or a non-legendary version of Gladiator's Oath? I think it must be legendary because I don't see it there. Let's have a look. There we go. One LP Gladiator's Oath. So let's just see if it's better than the one we've got. So comparing the two of those, they obviously do the same damage. It's a slightly better crit strike multiplier dual wielding with the legendary potential one, but much better area with dancing strikes with the non-legendary potential. So I think what we'll do is we will keep both, because then we could dual wield two of those, which would make for an interesting build. And the last thing I need is an interesting build popping up from nowhere that I can go, ooh, we'll have a go with that. Where was I putting? Ah, there we go. I need to get another tab for my idols, but we can do that quite soon. That should not be a huge problem. We are running out of space in our Exalted Items tab as well. Right, so we need another 71. That's going to give us between 13 and up to an extra 28. Let's go and do that one because there is XP at the bottom. Slay enemies to locate Oricarian the Rampant. Let's go find this rampant boy. I do love these big mobs, these big packs of just very weak creatures, because you throw this down and you just run. And you barely even need to stop to soul harvest them. And if you have to double back, there's normally a pile of golden items that you can have a quick look at. I'm balancing a little bit in that my build sort of relies on me always being at low life, because the lower my life is, the more of my ward I regenerate per second, and therefore the more ward I have and the stronger I am, but also the more damage I do. So my Torment Curse, which is the thing I do most of my damage with, that comes out of the Chthonic Fissure, does more damage. Well, I do more damage over time in general with any damage over time ability, and I don't know if that scales with curses or whether they're a separate thing, but I do more damage over time based on how little health I've got. What's that purple thing? Oof. I've realised I had a couple of things happen. I changed my loot filter earlier and refined it a little bit, and I finished the first two quest echoes in here. And when I logged back in later on this afternoon, it obviously hasn't registered either of those things. So my loot filter has not been updated because I've still got stuff on here that wasn't on my loot filter originally. I'd already turned it off. And I'm still having issues with the fact it told me I hadn't completed those two quests and I had to do them both again. That's quite nice as a tier 6. Arena key, and then we'll go for the XP. Perfect. So how are you tonight, Dark? How is life in Kanukistan? Ooh, we got move speed from somewhere. I assume that we hit a shrine, which I must have done in my sleep. It's the kind of thing you do with this build. You just sort of go through the motions. You click on everything that you need to click on as you go past. You don't pay attention. But my move speed definitely feels boosted, and there's no reason I should have haste on me. Right, we got some good stuff here. Hey, thought I'd finished you off. Wow, we're getting tons of tier 7s. Is that really a tier 7? Apparently. It's a good roll as well, okay. Take that, take those, take that and that. What's this one? Chance to blind. I can live without that even as a tier 7. Not running a blind build. This one is crit strike avoidance. Yes, please. Dodge rating, no. Health is useful, but not on... That's actually not a bad belt. We'll take that. Ah, right. We need to locate the Primeval Dragon. Primeval Dragon's quite a big beast to fight. He's like a mini-boss for our build. You know, there's obviously a lot of mini-bosses at the end of these echoes, but most of them are barely bosses. They're just slightly tougher than normal creatures. But the Primeval Dragon is no joke. Although I aim to make him a joke. So when it comes to defensibility, we're not using any endurance. I've not spec'd anywhere into endurance or endurance threshold like we have with every other build, because endurance protects health. And our health should never be being hit, because we've lost most of it. I mean, you'll see we're spiking there at about 130 odd. That's irritating. It's because, in order to finish off Chaos Bolts, I wanted Chaos Bolts to cast Bone Curse whenever they hit a cursed enemy. So auto-casting Bone Curse, which I've spec'd into, and it does lots of nasty things, including necrotic damage. There are two ways to get there. One is to go down this side, and one is to go down this side. If I go this side, it's shorter, and I don't have to take these two nodes. This node gives me 6 health back every time I hit a cursed enemy. Gives me 1 mana back as well, but 6 health is annoying, because I don't want to be healing up, because I want to keep my life low to make my damage and my resists work. This one is you gain 6 health per curse on them, as well as refreshing the duration of the curses. So they're typically only going to have 1 curse on them. They'll normally just have Torment, but that's immediately 12 health. And if you're spamming it, those 12 health are stacking up very, very quickly, and that's for every creature they hit. But I went this way because if you take this node, it converts the damage from necrotic into physical, and I'm not scaling physical damage, I'm going for increases in necrotic, because every one of my other spells primarily does necrotic damage. So what I figured was, if it's 12 on hit, essentially, the more health we get, the less that 12 health on hit is actually going to make any difference. And I've never seen it take me over 35% health, which is out of the low health category. I've seen it take me relatively high, but never more than about 10%, never more than sort of 140, 150. So I don't think it's doing us a huge amount of harm. It is slowing our ward regeneration down towards the top end there, but we're not struggling for that anyway. We are definitely looking for staffs, because we want one to combine with our new staff to give us a potential legendary, but we don't need that yet because we only have 1 copy of our new staff, and currently it does not have legendary potential, meaning we can't make legendaries out of it anyway. As we go forwards, once we get into empowered monoliths, we're going to be hunting more of those exact same staffs to try and find some with slightly better stats. We're missing 1 core stat on there, and to try and find us some in purples that we can then smash into our unique to make a legendary. What was that one? Tier 7? Yeah, 7 shock on hit chance. So I'm seeing a lot of tier 7s drop on this particular character, and I've changed my loot filter so it emphasises any tier 7s that do drop. And I wonder if I feel like I'm seeing them more because I'm not having to hover over them and look at what the affix is, so I'm not missing any. But by playing this, we now only have 43,000 rep to go to get to tier 7 in the Circle of Fortune, and tier 7 makes tier 7 affixes, level 7 makes tier 7 affixes twice as common. So we're going to start seeing a load of those drop. In the dream scenario, what I want is perfectly rolled tier 7 necrotic resist on all of my non-unique gear, which is doable, but it will take a very long time. Oh look, 77, I'd stop tracking levels. That is going to scale our damage and our defensibility through the roof. Use your... oh, we've finished. I'm busy crushing stuff, and we've finished the Echo. So we can give ourselves another point here, so that each point in here gives us 14% increased damage and drains 1% of our health per second, which is great because that's helping to keep this health low again. And because of that, we've gone from 4,800 and something to just over 4,900. We're just hovering our way down a bit. So the ward is creeping up. I think we could very easily get over 5,000 ward tonight, static ward just sitting here. But then we're going to lose a chunk of it. My challenge is to do a bit of gearing up so that we can get 5,000 ward reliably on a low life build that is using the staff and has therefore lost its offhand catalyst. Slay enemies to locate the Ash Gate. Ornate Wand of Stillness. Ooh, that's mana and mana regen, which is an affix I really like. And that particular version of it was tier 6. I do like the way that certain mobs will just telegraph straight towards you to try and do you damage, so all you have to do is place the fissure down and wait for it to come get them. Oh man. I had food just before we started streaming and it has been a long and tiring day, and the food is hitting me now. I'm going to have to pause after this one, I think, and drink my tea and just take a breath, because there is a serious risk of me falling asleep on stream tonight. I am absolutely shattered. You can tell by the mercifully small amount of talking I'm doing. I can either talk or focus on the game, but not both. Which, although I always complain about that, I'm normally able to do both to some degree, especially with this build. This build makes it so easy. So for anyone that missed the last stream, a challenge was laid down. A challenge which I have accepted. And that is, if we can make affiliate status. So this was suggested to me by a particularly mad viewer who likes to enjoy the wilder side of life. Wouldn't it be great to see you stream wasted? And the answer is no. No, it wouldn't. Not for anybody. But if that's what the audience demands, what I've said is, if we make affiliate status, and in order for us to get to affiliate status, we are still looking for another 24 followers, and then I need to make sure I'm getting 3 average views per stream and all the rest of it. But the minimum starting point is another 24 followers, so 50 in total. If we can get to affiliate status, not just our 50 members, what I said I would do as a celebration is have a drink on stream, which I know is not unusual. I quite often have a beer this time of night. Today I'm on a cup of tea, try and keep me awake. But the plan is that we will have beer on stream, and as the night goes on we will probably move into progressively stronger stuff, maybe have a whiskey or two on stream. And I'm going to start a brand new hardcore character, which will be fun because I've not played hardcore at all in last Epoch, which means, first of all, I have nothing on hardcore, whether it's legacy or cycle. I have no characters, I have no stash tabs, I have no gold, I have no crafting mats. We will be starting right from scratch day one, and probably doing that 5 or 6 times, because hardcore characters, for those that don't know, when they die they're dead permanently. You get them once, if you mess up they die, you've lost them, you need to start again. Which is typically why I play softcore, because I like to test things out, and when my testing things out fails, I die. So we will start a hardcore character if we can hit affiliate. We will have an evening of drinking and revelry in the chat, and we will see how far that character goes. And when it dies, we'll make another one. Probably the same type. I might make a very specific build. I might do something we've not tried before, and make a brand new build, maybe a rogue of some description. And we'll play that character on stream until they die, and when they die we will go back to the beginning, we'll take another drink and we'll create a new one and we'll play that one, and we'll see what the highest level we can achieve is without death. And we'll have a little death counter on screen for every single time that I messed up fighting trash mobs, glanced at chat to see what was going on and then got killed, or dozed off half cut in my chair, who knows. So that promises to be chaos. So if you have friends who are not following and you have any interest in that kind of ridiculous debauched content, tell them to pop a follow on here, because the sooner that happens, the sooner I've got to somehow work out how I'm going to do it all. That'll do. Not for that. Area for area spells I would like. That's alright. I think we still need quite a lot of cast speed. Everything else is fine. Oh, and it's another XP one. Excellent. Now it's quite torturous, this. So like I say, I think that Cardjack and Trainar may join us later on. I know one of them is at the gym, one of them is out doing other stuff, but they both said they would be back before the end of the stream and they would try and hop on. I've mentioned the new unique to the pair of them, particularly to Cardjack, and he was very excited to see it. So I'm not putting it on until he gets on stream, which means I don't get to play with my new toy yet, even though I'm now level appropriate. In fact, I'm 2 levels over where I need to be now, but I don't get to play with my new toy until he turns up. So let's all hope that he turns up at some point relatively soon, because I really want to see if it works. And the more I think about it, and I hadn't really considered the fact we're losing an equipment slot essentially, because to have a staff it's two-handed, so we will lose both this weapon and this item, and on top of that, so that's curse damage, spell costs, various other things that are going to go down. On top of that, we can't craft on it initially because it is a unique, so we can't add some of these mana reduction and cast speed bonuses that are keeping us where we need to be. All of those might lead to it being slightly too compromised. However, if holding the button down once for 3 seconds nukes everything within 2 screens worth of distance, then we don't really care whether we've got the mana regen or the ward, because nothing's going to get near us. But we will only be able to tell that with time. Nope, don't want that. See, I've even started turning down idols now, and that is not like me at all. I should be evaluating more of these smaller idols, but I find it easier just to put them away. Increased duration for Profane Veil is good. Less health regen is amazing for us. Really good for our build. That, we can't put that on yet because it is a 4, which means we can't put this one on with it. There is nowhere in the grid we could fit this 4 vertical and have 4 consecutive horizontal slots to put this one in. It's one or the other. And this one is giving us ward retention and 54% of our health converted, potion health converted to ward. So that's too important as well. So for now we'll keep that, but that is one of my favourite idols I have seen drop for this particular build. Physical damage and pen, that was a high roll tier 7, wasn't it? We'll keep that. That's tier 7, but it's chance to shock on hit, so I'm not so fussed. 97% health regen in a tier 6. Might send that back. I think we'll recycle that in the hope of getting shards. I want area for area skills. 12% of health potion alphabet toward ward gain on potion used. Yeah, okay, we're not going to use that, but we might like the shards from it. That's got the health. Health converted to ward fire resist. That one's very good as well, and also has 50% crit strike avoidance, like some of the other stuff we've seen. We're not really bleeding the way we used to be. But we do still want mana and mana regen, always. And forever. That can just get sold. Chance to shock on hit we're not bothered by. Now we need to find room for all of these. Luckily I did get the chance to buy a second experimental tab. But our exalted tab is madly full. Although for the sake of streaming we'll just drop stuff in there. Let's buy ourselves up to 123k gold. Let's get rid of some of that. So this gives us an idea. We were at 123k, we're now at 105. So we've lost about 18,000 putting those together. Right, take this down from here. Right, how close are we in the monolith? Oh, we've done it. We've unlocked the Chamber of Ruin already. Right. Fire it up. It's boss time. We've got 420 stability, so I think we can afford to lose to him at least once, which we will. This, I think, was probably the hardest boss for me in all of the other monoliths. The boss after this I did on the first go. This one took me so many goes. But we're going to give it a try. He does a spinning beam. The spinning beam is all three elemental types and it's damage over time, and there is almost nothing you can do about it. In fact, my only hope here, I think, is to outdamage him so quickly that I only have to dodge the beams once, because I don't think I've got enough move speed to dodge these beams. Nope, look at how badly it's hitting me. Oh, but I tank so well, I can actually tank through the beams with this build, which is crazy. Okay, I was never able to do that before. When we were playing with the Beastmaster, if any one of those touched me once, we were done for. Now, don't get me wrong, we're taking damage here, we're taking serious damage, but we're regenning it so quickly because it's ward and not health. He's going to go back in the middle, he's going to throw the beams again. We can actually afford to take a hit, dip in. Just make sure you've got a rift on him at all times, and therefore whatever he's doing, you can be doing this. Like, we've taken a ton of damage there, way more than we should have done, because I'm not dodging stuff, but I'm able to almost ignore some boss mechanics. Look how much health we're gaining though. We're gaining way more than we want to, because we're getting it every time we hit him with Chaos Bolts, and we're proccing a lot of Chaos Bolts. So we're almost out of low life here. Oh, yeah, we're taking a lot now. Through here, please. Right, this gives me hope for when we step up into Empowered. Look at that. First time. Right, and we get to choose a blessing now. So, 27% shield shard drop rate. No, we don't have shields on. 16% increased body armor shard drop rate. There are some body armor shards I would like to craft a nice piece to mash into my other. Or skill shard drop rate. Skill shards. Always skill shards. Let's do it. So that doesn't help us survive and doesn't help us do damage. That is my second copy of that. Let's just grab everything. But before we do, this one is tier 7 elemental damage. That's rather nice. So we're going to do a couple of things, because these monoliths have a tendency to forget what you've done in them. So we're going to go straight to, because that's finished, we've got a blessing, we're going to go straight to Spirits of Fire, and we're going to run one echo in Spirits of Fire. Just so that the game updates and goes, alright, yeah, he's finished that, he's now doing Spirits of Fire. I don't know if it helps, but I do know that it can sometimes sort of forget where it's at. Oh yeah, you do it, baby. Crush, crush, crush. This would be so much easier if we were using the staff, but we're not. We're hamstringing ourselves without the new magic staff, just so that we can wait and show it to more people, which I am happy with. Poison damage, void damage, no. What are we doing? Locate the storm gate. I do not see any sign of a storm gate just yet. Hover over, why don't you? Yeah, want that. Right. I'm looking for very specific affixes, which typically I'm just going to shatter if I see the ones that I want, unless we get a purple. The key things that we're really looking for are a certain base item with tier 6 or tier 7 necrotic resist on. That is something that we can craft onto as a keeper item, something that we could use right into endgame if we get the right base and enough forging potential to craft it well. It's going to take us a few of each to find until we get lucky with our crafts, but that's the way we're going to try and take it. That I've never seen before. That's a set item I have never come across. That's actually got decent... No, it's got very bad crit strike avoidance. I thought it said 50% then, but then that would have been a tier 6. What else have we got? Boots of regrowth. It's going to be health regen. Right, necrotic damage, yes. Because that one is necrotic damage to you and your minions, which means that technically you could stack it twice. You could give yourself plus necrotic damage, then you could give on the same item a second prefix of plus necrotic damage for you and for your minions. And while we're not rolling minions, it does mean we could stack quite a bit of necrotic damage, and we don't have many shards that give us that ability. That's apparently a very good one. 8 spell damage for curses, less damage over time taken. That really is good. So the majority of our damage comes from curses. And damage over time is one of the hardest things in the game to mitigate against. You know, we saw that even those beams of energy that the boss was firing off, even though we were able to stand in them and crush it, we were taking a huge amount of our ward, which nothing else is doing. You know, if we watch the way we fight creatures in here at the moment, none of them are really touching that ward unless I stand in all the goo and just don't move. Because damage over time, which is what the goo largely is, does a huge amount of damage. And it isn't blocked by armour, and resists work against it, but there's a lot that you're missing. Yeah, okay, that's pretty useful. No, not what I need. Move speed I will take. Sorry, I'm out. So we've got 3 quests now to do. That's what stands between us. Obviously we've got to unlock them first. We've got a lot of stability. We need to generate 400 stability, and so far we've made 18. That's our big challenge for the night. But then we've also got 2 quest echoes and the boss echo to do before we can consider ourselves able to move on. Now, given how easily we beat Elder Gaspar in that boss fight, I am very confident that we can do this one probably first go, if I'm going to be cocky about it. So really the only thing standing between us and empowered monoliths right now is time. It is time to get that stability. And what we're going to do is we're not going to kill everything in here. We are just going to focus on doing the objective and then closing the the echo and carrying on, because the sooner we do the objective, the quicker we can get on to the next echo, and the sooner we can be earning more XP, more rewards, more items, whatever it is, and specifically more gold, because we are already starved for space in our stash yet again. So it's going to be quite repetitive for a little while, but at least we're playing, and I'm keen to do that because we were working on the improved quality of the stream last stream. It was all set up so that we had improved bitrate, meaning that we didn't get blurring as we ran around and did some of these more action-packed zones. And then we didn't do any of that. We basically did shopping for a long time and talking about drinking games and drunken streams. So the latest VOD that's going up, it's I'm processing it now for YouTube, but it won't go up probably for a couple of days, just so that I'm not drowning people in videos as and when I can get the time to get a couple of them up. But that video, in terms of quality, looks way better. Carjack is in the house. Buddy, I've been waiting for you. I haven't tried the new staff yet, even though I'm level 77 out of 75, because I wanted you to be here to see it with me. But we are crushing it in normal monoliths. We just did the boss, the hardest boss, I think, in all the normal monoliths. And we did him first go, and we stood in every one of his telegraphed attacks. And he didn't kill us. We just stood there and took it. At one point I walked backwards and forwards through his one-shot beam 3 times because it was easier than trying to outrun it with my low move speed. And we just whooped him. Right, what are we doing? Oh, we've got to beat this. I see. It's an ambush, I didn't realise. Take that, ambush. Right. Any of these worth having, and then... Yeah, that's fine, mate. I might save the staff for a little bit. If you're lurking, that's cool. If at any point you're sort of watching stream, I'll do the staff then, because we don't need the staff yet. That's the thing, I want to try it, but I know we can get to empowered without it. So I'm sort of tempted just to keep rolling because we're doing it so quickly. Not bothering to craft that with 23 forging potential. None of these is too exciting. Take crit strike chance. Endurance. Oh no, XP, not endurance, XP. Yep, don't care. Right. So like I said, we're just going to go echo after echo after echo. Oh gosh, it's waves of enemies. That actually suits this build relatively well, but we've got to find them first. Here we go. Because with this build, you just throw down a couple of rifts and they come running to you to their doom. I mean, look at that, I'm not even doing anything. I'll just stand here. I'll keep making sure the rifts are out, the chthonic fissures. But after that, there's nothing I need to do. Long as the creatures find me and I don't have to go finding them, it's easy sauce. The other thing is we'll get maximum stability out of this arena rift, which isn't bad because we want to get these quest echoes done so that we can get to empowered monoliths. And killy kill kill. Wow, this is just ridiculous. And then if I feel like doing something different, I'll go into Profane Veil, which is my basically invincibility stance, which I can do for a few seconds, and just means that I have to really care even less about what's coming. That is obscene. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but it is good. This build is working. So arguably, I think our ward is currently a little bit of overkill. And that's good because we're about to lose about a third of it. When we put the staff on, we will lose about a third of our survivability because we will have to lose our offhand catalyst, which is where most of our tankiness is currently coming from. We can change the source of that tankiness, and we'll do later on when we start getting better gear, but for now it is a significant part of where our tankiness comes from. What's this do? +2 to all curse skills. So that would be Chthonic Fissure and Bone Curse would be the two. Okay. It's not a terrible thing to have. I do really like a flat 8 spell damage for curses and 3% less damage over time taken. See, this is 6 spell damage for curses and physical res. I'd be tempted to just replace this with this. It's more curse damage, which we're going to need. Okay, our physical resistance is now 34%, which... question is, could I squeeze both on? I'd lose even more phys res because I'd have to take that one. I wouldn't have to take that one off, but I really would. The only other place I could put it would be if I took this off and like this one for now and did that. But we've lost 2 vitality there and necrotic damage. And if I took this one off, we're at 32% phys res, which is not good enough. That would be elemental resist and potion health converted to ward, which is really useful. That's a ton of health. Yeah, that's not helpful. Yeah, I want to use that, but I'm not going to use it yet because we're in a bit of a delicate balance in terms of keeping our ward numbers up. So for now, we'll wait on the 8 curse damage. We will. But it's high priority, and we don't have to get rid of it. We can't put it on just yet. And also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've easily got the damage and the survivability to get to empowered monoliths tonight, live on stream. So let's do it, rather than messing around trying to fix a build that is not broken. What I would say is we've now hit 76, which means we can equip Oracle Amulets. So this amulet here gives me 7% less damage over time. The Oracle Amulets cap at 20% less damage over time, which is a major survivability buff, major. And I've got one in my Acolyte that has rolled 19 somewhere. That's 18%. I thought I had a 19% out of... Oh, no, okay. So this one's 18% less damage over time. Ward gained on potion use, mana, lightning res, chance to shred armor. It's horrible otherwise. This one has increased physical damage by a lot, which is great, but I do no physical damage. I want that to be necrotic. So this is good, We'll come back to these. I don't want to be using silver rings. Given that I've got a silver ring, that can go there. What's this got on it? Mana. Cold damage. This has 2 tier 6 affixes. No, my god, no, it's got 1 tier 6 and 1 tier 7. So 2 exalted affixes. One is at tier 6 and one is a tier 7 exalted. So that's got lightning damage and stun chance with melee attacks. So although I see no use for that right now, we are not getting rid of it because that crafted right could be one of the best items in the game. Increased crit strike chance. I mean, for now, we'll do what we were always doing, which is we're just going to store things. We're going to run out of space very, very quickly, but I want us to be moving rather than sorting out inventory stuff. Force spell damage, better void resist, worse lightning resist, better chance to shock, better everything. That is just the better version of that set gear. That one can get sold. Where are we at with this? I think we must... Oh, we haven't got enough shards yet. Nope, grab the shards. Grab the shards. Grab the shards. Don't know why we picked that up. Move speed we want, because we've got 59 for move speed, which isn't terrible. Right, so this one is armor, ward decay threshold and ward on kill. That's the level 73 version. Not really sure why I'd be hanging on to this though, because we're not taking this helmet off. It's a key part of our build, so we're only interested in purple headgear that we can combine with this to create a potential legendary item. In which case, that might as well go. Let's not get precious. Don't care. Oh, that's got crit strike avoidance, hasn't it? How much have we got? We've got 90 shards of crit strike avoidance. I'm not too worried about pushing that. No, not bothered. So we've got a couple of things. We've got an experimental item that wants storing, and we've got a new set item that we have never seen before, which can go in there. Other than that, we will get rid of these. Look at that, we're already at 118k again. We've made over 100k since we started messing around this evening. Now I've just spent 18,000 of it buying Runes of Shattering, but that's still pretty good. We've still got 100k. We've already opened the first of 3 quests, so we can finish the first quest in Spirits of Fire, then we'll grind out the second one, then we'll grind out the third one, and at that point we can unlock empowered monoliths. So let's do it. Let's do the first quest echo. I normally wait until I've got the first 2 done and do them back to back, but we'll do them one at a time. I've only done these quests once each before. I can't remember what I meant to do. Save the trader and destroy bone pyres. Okay. We can do all those things. Oh man. I am starting to think if we put the staff on though, we would kill things so much quicker. So maybe we do play with the staff now. After this, 2 to Soul Feast. Oh my god, that had +2 to Soul Feast on it. See, extra points in Soul Feast would be super useful. What am I doing? I'm going... you could go one of many ways here to do things, but let's go this way. It's a Soul Pyre? Yes it is. Dance around. It's dead. Don't care about that. So we were hoping tonight we would do a few things, and I'm going to run through them again because I didn't actually describe them all, and I think we can achieve all of these things I'm about to say. So the first one I would like is I'd like to make another level. I'd like to hit 78 tonight. I think unless I actually succumb to my tiredness and fall asleep on stream, we're going to hit 78. Or somebody asks me a complex question and I talk for the rest of the stream about some bizarre aspect of last Epoch. But, you know, when has that ever happened? So, we're aiming for 78. We'll get it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, what are we on now? I think we're going to stream for another couple of hours. I think we could make 79 quite easily. Especially once we get to Empowered Monoliths. If we get into Empowered Monoliths, our levelling rate's going to shoot through the roof because we're going to be in level 100s and it's going to be Corruption 100. So XP just goes up through the roof. So 79 is not out of the question for tonight. But as a minimum, 78. Also, I would like, and I'm going to, after we finish this quest, I will check. We had 47,000 XP to go, or 47,000 rep to go, to unlock Tier 7 of the Circle of Fortune, I think. I would like to hit Tier 7 of the Circle of Fortune, because that will give us double the chance for Tier 7s to drop, Tier 7 affixes. And given that we've already seen loads of tier 7 affixes tonight anyway, doubling that chance means we're hopefully going to be able to start picking the odd tier 7 necrotic resist to go into our build, which will scale our damage, our survivability and everything else. So it would be nice. I do think even if we don't quite make tier 7 in the Circle of Fortune, we should make enough favour that we can go and buy a ton of prophecies, and that should be enough to finish us off. So we'll compare and contrast when we finish this. Necrotic Res has minion dodge rating, but still. Yeah, when we finish this quest, we'll go and see how close we are. So I've got talking again, and I'm slowing down and stopping and talking. We could just be speedrunning all of this. These quest echoes are not particularly exciting anyway, and it doesn't matter if we kill everything because we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to get stability up from this. We're just trying to beat everything and win. So all I've got to do now is destroy 2 more bone pyres. So what objectives we got so far? We've got level 78 and we've got tier 7 of Circle of Fortune. The big one for tonight is empowered monoliths. I see that, it depends on how quickly we can make stability, but I see that as a bit of a lock. Given that we were still doing the other monolith 20 minutes ago, and since then we've unlocked the final quest, beaten the boss, and now we're working on this one, I think that's very doable. Let me just have a look at the map. Yeah, we can go up there. And then I'd like to run a few empowered monoliths to see how good the build is, and at some point we will switch to the staff, maybe after this one, see if it's that much quicker. It could well be very, very fast, and if it is very, very fast, then we'll be able to push supremely quickly into the further monoliths. What do I have to do now? Speak with the Shrine Maiden. I mean, look at that, we're nearly 78 already. Hello, Shrine Maiden. Hello, Moron Boy. Wow, he was really worth fighting. So that's the first quest complete, and another +1 to Soul Feast chess piece. So that's +1 to Soul Feast, that's +2 to Soul Feast. I can't use either of these to craft that into a legend, so they just want to go and exist as shards. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to put them in here. That's tier 5 of Soul Feast, so I am not going to shatter this. I'm going to use a rune of removal, because if I remove that, I will get the full 5 shards back. There we go. And this one is tier 3, and we'll do the same thing again, because it's only got that. So that's 8 shards of the level of Soul Feast item affix picked off, which is great. Int, dodge rating, res, fire res, done. Necrotic damage, damage over time. Not terrible, but you're never going to craft those into purples, so you're never going to be able to use those to make legendary items, which is what we're really interested in now. So get rid of all that. We're at 105,000 gold. Let's go and see where we are in our pursuit of the Spirits of Fire. So we've completed the first quest. I want to do a load more echoes, because it's this first quest that seems to be bugged every now and again. If you complete it, just the tip, if you complete this first one, you quite often go away and do something else and come back and find it's uncompleted it for you. It's still unlocked because you've got enough stability, but you have to run it again, which is really frustrating. So we're going to run a couple more of these in sequence, just quickly, and try and build up some more stability and hopefully push towards the second one. We'll do this one just so that I can finish something else and hopefully have the game remember that we've definitely finished that first quest echo already. And then I think it's time we tried the staff. And we're going to do a proper test of it. We're going to go into an echo with the staff in our inventory, but not using it. I'm going to show you what this build does well and what this build does badly and break it down. And when I've done that, we'll put the staff on and we'll see if the way I think it works is how it actually works. I can explain the sort of pre-staff bit now, but I'm not going to, because I want to do it without a staff and then put the staff on immediately, and we'll see what difference it makes. I think the difference will be huge. We already know we're going to lose 1300 ward by putting the staff on, because we're going to lose our offhand catalyst, which is currently giving us 1300 static ward with its regen. So we are going to have to do a lot more damage a lot more quickly in order to remain competitive, because we're going to be taking a lot more damage. Or certainly we're going to be less tanky anyway, because we're going to have less ward to protect us. So I'm hoping that it is overall a positive thing worth doing. I suspect it is. I think we'll never look back after we've put the staff on, but we're about to find out, because that's the first of 2 bosses destroyed in here. You see, I know how this build works, and I'm already seeing some of the issues that we shouldn't see once the staff is on. But I'm just going to keep teasing you now. It's going to be better for bosses than now, I think. Because the problem we have now for bosses is our survivability is pretty good. In fact, the last boss was so stupid we stood in all his telegraphed attacks. I think when we get to harder bosses with slightly less tankiness, when we've got slightly less tankiness, we might have to pay attention to the mechanics just a little bit more in the first instance. The other thing is we can scale ward back. So at the moment, when this calms down, I think we're at 4,800 ward static. By the time this build gets good and I get good gear, we'll be way over that again. I'm not convinced we can't get 10,000. So our loss of tankiness in this build is only going to be temporary. It's going to be slightly harder to get that tankiness back because we've got fewer item options, fewer slots when we're using a two-hander to do that with. But it's only a temporary thing. But I think the damage on bosses is going to be insane, because our main damage comes from Soul Feast, which does 7,000, 8,000 DPS. But Soul Feast can only injure or target somebody when they're cursed, which means I'm having to wait for my Rift here, my Fissure, to do all this cursing before pressing Soul Feast does anything. So I'm going to demonstrate it. Let's go get ourselves the Magic Staff of Doom. Right, I'm going to completely clear my inventory. So we've got 2 items here. Bleed on Hit, which is a tier 6. Tier 7 Crit Strike Multiplier. Okay. Don't go there. We're going to do an experiment. Do we have space? We have space. Not that, thank you. I need that. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of things here. I had a plan for this. Right, we're going to take our new shiny staff, and I'll talk you through it in a minute. Let's put these staffs up here. So this, let me get my chat box out of the way. This is the new staff, right? This is the Wheel of Torment. So, first of all, it gives me melee damage. Don't care, I don't do any melee attacks. But it gives me 78 spell damage, which is better than the 65 spell damage I currently have. Gives me 12 int, which is nice. Gives me haste for 3 seconds when I cast Soul Feast. So I'm going to be casting Soul Feast all the time. I'm going to be channeling it, essentially. So I'll always have haste, which is increased move speed. That's good. This one has 61% effective haste on me in a range of 45 to 63. So this one is very good on the effective haste. And it's not bad on necrotic penetration with Torment. Torment is the curse that I'm going to be using for killing everything. And the range of necrotic penetration is 15 to 90%. So it could roll super low, but I got 62, which I'm pretty happy with. And then a 17% chance to cast Chthonic Fissure for me, instead of me pressing the button, when I hit a boss or rare with Soul Feast and don't have a Fissure active. So those are all really useful things to be doing. There are 2 things this item does really well. The top one, unfortunately, is where this version of it rolled really badly. it can give me between +1 and +3 to all my spells. So every one of my 5 abilities that I have specialised in and have a skill tree in could be at +3, but this rolled with a +1. So we're still hunting for a Wheel of Torment, because A, we need one that has legendary potential, so we can make a legendary item out of it, but B, I want one that's rolled +3 to Acolyte spells, because having an extra 2 skill points in my spells makes them so much more powerful. You can really amp the damage up and stuff. But where this works is that third point down. When you directly cast Soul Feast, you curse yourself. So you curse yourself with Torment. I will take necrotic damage over time from Torment, but my necrotic resistance is overcapped at 323%, so I won't take a lot of necrotic damage, I'm hoping. But I also curse up to 1 nearby enemy for every 10 intelligence. I currently have 95 intelligence, so, and I'm very close to 100, so when we finish speccing this build out, we should cast Soul Feast once for 5 mana. So just to remind you, if I hold the button down for Soul Feast, my mana regens quicker than Soul Feast takes it away. I'm regenning 15 mana a second, Soul Feast now costs 5. So basically it's a free cast spell that will instantly target. You've just asked the killer question there, Cardjack. The answer to that question is the reason this item is overpowered, and probably the thing that will get nerfed, is the range on it. I don't think this cycle, but in future I wouldn't be surprised if they nerfed the range. So when I press Soul Feast once, I will do 2 things. I will instantly curse myself and up to 10 to 12 enemies nearby. So I don't have to have the curse applied to them by the Chthonic Fissure. I can just press it, and the way it works, I've seen this on other people's builds, the way that it's working mechanically at the moment is it applies the curse first, which means they count as cursed, and then it rips the Soul Feast out of them. The range of it is off the screen. You can stand in the middle of the screen, and there's no aiming on this. The spell targets for you, so you don't have to have your cursor over anything. You can put your cursor anywhere you like, hold the button down, and from outside how far your character can see, and it will rip the souls out. It will do so much damage, and for every one of those souls it rips out, you gain ward, which is why you start to see my ward at the bottom was getting up to sort of 5 to 6,000 earlier on. I'm going to go into an Echo, and I'm going to show you how this works with and without the staff. I've never done it with, but I think I know how it works. Oh, this isn't a great example, but this is going to be an arena. So, without the staff, here comes stuff to attack me. If I hold Soul Feast down, Soul Feast does nothing. On its own, Soul Feast cannot do anything until enemies are cursed. So if I throw a Rift down and it curses everything, and then I hold Soul Feast, it rips all those curses out, and it kills everything on screen. But I have to wait until the Fissure has done its job cursing things. The idea is that we shouldn't have to do that once we've got the staff on. We should be able to just hold down Soul Feast and always do that at 13 targets at once. Sorry, it'll be 9 targets at once to start with, but we should be able to stack it up to 11 or 12 if we can get enough bonus intelligence. I'm not going to swap it mid-fight here, because if it doesn't work the way I think it does, we lose this. So we'll try a non-arena one in a second. But luckily arenas do not take long with this build. I mean, I just run round, find where they're coming from, drop the rifts, let it do its thing. Oh man, I got dog hair up my nose, it's driving me crazy. I had to take the dog to the vets today to get his ears checked because he's got an ear infection. And holding him on the table, I've managed to get dog hair up my nose, and once you've got a spaniel hair in your nose, you can never quite find it or get it out, and it works its way into your brain and just leads you to insanity. See, it's a nice shortcut, but also it does a couple of things. Because when you hit bosses with it, it can cast Chthonic Fissure for you, and Chthonic Fissure can curse things. It just makes the build way, way, way more fluid. And And because you don't have to target the way you do with the Fisher, I think we're going to find that it's really quite good fun. Right, that's fire resist and curse damage, but it's a bad one. Right, straight into a different echo. Don't care about that. Right, here we go. So if we go into the gold one here, so as we said before, we'll walk to somewhere where there's creatures. I will hold down Soul Feast. Nothing happens. Not to the guy on screen, not to any of the guys off screen. If I then equip this and hold down the button, look, I'm ripping the souls out of everything. And I'll go off screen, right? I can't see anything. Can we rip souls from here? Well, we're definitely killing him. Right. There you go. Stuff that I cannot see off screen is pulling souls towards me. It's not doing insane damage because it's not coupled with this. Because once everything's cursed, the big advantage is... Oh, there's 78, that's what we wanted. The big advantage is... Hey, look, it cast that Fisher for me then. Once everything is cursed, the damage from the Chaos Bolts that are being cast by the Fisher do far more damage to cursed targets. I've spec'd it that way. So being able to pre-curse them with this, rather than letting the Rift curse them and then cast stuff on them, and it will do more damage if they've survived, doing both at once should make this insane. So if we do that and then just do this, yeah, everything just deletes. Everything just vanishes. That's kind of working the way it should do. And actually, although we've lost a whole load of ward, we should be down at about 3,500 by the time it all settles out, I think, unless we've gained a massive amount recently. Oh, it doesn't help when I pick up a potion, because the potion does stuff for me. Right. I mean, if I don't bother using the Rift and I just take the souls, it's still pretty good damage. It ramps up after the first one, because after the first one it applies Withering when I hit them the first time. Withering means that they take 10% more curse damage per stack. They also take more damage if they are burning or damned, I think. Damned ignited, a few other things, which I can apply myself with a few other abilities. So fine-tuning the skill trees is going to make quite a big difference. The other thing, of course, is we've put the staff on now. It's only given us +1, but every skill I've got has +1 in it now. Why are we getting so many purples in this? This is crazy. I'm assuming we've not just made the next level of... We shouldn't have gone anywhere near... No, we haven't. We've got miles to go before we get to there. Right, we're just getting stuff. But yeah, we are eating souls. That is Soul Feast, feasting on the souls of our enemies. And it is doing it very well. Crit Strike Multiplier, fire damage, tonight. What we're now looking for is really good purple staffs that if we found a legendary Soul Feast, we could use to put stuff on there. So let's crank up the damage again and reduce our current health. One more point to max that out. So that means Soul Feast... Ooh, look. Soul Feast is only doing 6,000 damage. That's why it's not as devastating as we thought it was going to be, because when we were using this wand had 65% increased curse damage on it. So we were doing a nearly 8,000 damage with it. So while we can hit everything off screen without worrying about it, at the moment it's not doing anything like as much DPS. That will scale up. We can apply increased curse damage via things like this, spell damage for curses, and I think increased curse damage is available as an affix, I'm not sure. But I'm going to show you how I got this, because I think this is kind of cool. I made this. I didn't find this. It's a unique staff. You can craft unique weapons from any similar weapon in the game. So I can use any other staff in the game and turn it into a unique just by using... So these are staffs that I had saved I've got some blue ones that are a bit crappy, I've got some yellow ones that are okay but I'm not going to use, and I've got a purple one which doesn't work for me. It could be any of these, so if I take the worst one, the blue, plain old blue, and I use it with a rune of Ascendance, I've got 13 of these, that will upgrade it to either a unique or a set item of the same type. So it will turn into any possible two-handed staff, unique or set item in the game. And this is one really good way to try and create yourself a legendary. So let's see what we get. Right, we've got a Curse of Perseverance. They are quite common. I'm on my third or fourth one of those. We'll try a couple more. You know, I'm going to use 2 more of these so that we'll have 10 left. That's a Jasper's Searing Pride. I've got one of those. But it's another nice way that if the one unique you need for your build just isn't dropping, you've got a chance to craft it. This one, it made a set piece. It made Velatria's Downfall, the two-handed staff. So I'm able to craft them. Sometimes they will craft, as shown with this Curse of Perseverance, they will craft with legendary potential. So the only real downside is I've been playing the game for however many 100 hours and I had 12 or 13 of these Runes of Ascendance. They're not very common, but if you get a few of them, they are another useful way to try and find yourself some unique and set items. So that's how I got mine. I was going to start farming the sort of high tier monoliths, and in the end I thought, well, I'll just try, and I made 3, I think, and the third one was a Wheel of Torment, and I was like, right, done. We can test it now. So what we're going to do first of all, before we go anywhere else, is we're going to put our extra 1 skill point from Wheel of Torment into this here, and it's going to go, this one's going to go here, this one is going to go, I've got all these planned out, you see, this one's going to go here, this one, really importantly, is going to make Torment do more damage, which is quite important. This one I think we put into, I'm going to put it into damage. I've seen a number of different people do various types of these builds. Now this one's quite good. This increases the damage of Soul Feast, and so per curse on the target you will do 15% more damage, and you'll generate more ward. So immediately we're at 6137 still, but that will be multiplied more by the amount of curses. Right. What is that? Ward gained. +3 to harvest. We'll have that. Right, what am I supposed to be doing? Slay the Siege Captain. Right, let's play this build the way that we would normally do. Yeah, it's still pretty powerful. If we can up the damage, if we can craft some better gear, in terms of being able to do stuff, it's so much quicker, because typically one of the challenges with Chthonic Fissure is I've spec'd it so that 60% of the time, instead of casting a spirit that puts torment on a target, 60% of the time it's casting chaos bolts for me. So I'm not actually cursing that many targets. Per rift, I'm probably cursing 1 target every couple of seconds, maybe. So it's good against bosses because they will get cursed and then I'll be able to suck the souls out of them. But this means that I've always got 9 targets immediately, and it applies to up to 13 targets that aren't cursed by the weapon. Oh wow, there's stuff dead down here. How did that happen? I don't even know how to get down there. Right, so the big news is Chthonic Fissure is still our main way of doing damage in terms of area damage and clearance. That's good, because I like that skill. But when we back it up with a little bit of Soul Feast, we've got much better range, no targeting necessary, and we can just start pulling stuff apart. So going back to Cardjack's question, that really does beg the question, how will it be for bosses? And I don't know, because we've compromised an awful lot on our survivability, and we've not gained a lot right now in terms of DPS. It's easier to apply that DPS, like it would be easier for us to run around doing this and soul feasting while the boss is doing telegraphed attacks. So we might find that we can apply more DPS, but actually we're not generating as much as we were in terms of burst damage. Although What I will say is, the one thing that an ARPG requires, and the one thing that I like about it, the feel of this particular way of playing is good. It doesn't feel as janky. The number of times that I would press Soul Feast and I'd just wait and think, oh great, nothing's cursed yet. So I'd put out 2 fissures, and I'd put a fissure out here, then I'd go into this. Actually, you can only have 1 fissure at once, can't you? Of course, it unsummons the other one. It's a node somewhere that lets you have more than 1 fissure, that's right. But yeah, you throw out a fissure, you go straight into Profane Veil, and then you'd start doing this, and nothing would die because nothing quite got cursed yet. There isn't that issue now. You're always doing something. Oh man, I'm having to assess so many items. The item drop rate in here is just mental. I don't want to pick that up. I just want to see what it is. Don't care about minion damage. Yeah, that's fine. Right, grab the gold. Let's call that done. Ha! Ooh, nice. Reach of the Grave, legendary wand, unique wand. Sorry. So that's all minion based, but very nice. Okay, let's just back it down a notch. Chill out. Work out what on earth I'm going to do with all of these lovely shiny new uniques that I've just pulled. I did buy another unique tab recently. That's good. And where are we at? We're not far off the second quest. So, time check. We've been streaming an hour and a half. Not long at all. So we are going to go at least another hour. That, I think, gives us a chance to get into Empowered Monoliths, to work out in Empowered Monoliths if we are really enjoying the build as it stands at the moment. The other good thing is, if we don't think, we've lost survivability and ultimately we've lost a bit of DPS, although practically speaking I think we're broken even on damage in terms of how much we can generate. If we find we're not happy with it, we just put these 2 items back on. The only change is these 2 items for this. The skills remain the same, the trees have changed a little bit, that's about all. So none of this is irreversible, but I do want to just play around with it and see if we can stack a little bit more damage, a little bit necrotic, res and that kind of stuff, whether we can start to push this into being more effective. What I really want to do is fight the last level 90 monolith boss and see if when we're doing decent bosses we go, it makes sense in here. It makes boss encounters way easier, or whether we go, oh no, you can't do this with bossing. We need to go back the old way, because we sort of need to know that before we head into the proper monoliths, which we are not far away from hitting. Right, legendary potential. That's another Weaver's Will shield. I've got hundreds of those things now. That's got legendary potential. That doesn't. That does. That does. And on the basis that one doesn't, and I found another one of them only about an hour ago, that one is just infinitely better. This one is worse in almost every regard, and certainly in every regard that matters. So that's getting sold, that's getting sold. Melee attack speed, waste of time, that's getting sold. That's tier 6. 129% tier 7 necrotic damage bonus, which is lovely. It's on a bad base, but that would make a really nice craft it into a unique sort of thing. We want to get rid of health regen on it, but that could be a really useful crafting piece, so that can go in here. See, with this build, unlike the Beastmaster, with this build we're already thinking about which legendaries we're going to start crafting. What we want to, if we can find legendary potential. This one's got 1 legendary potential. I have another version of this helmet which has lower necrotic resist but has 2 legendary potential, but we could also play around with as a crafting idea. But I'm already sort of putting some thought into what items do we start saving to craft legendaries with for this build, which I never did for any of my other builds. That one I want to shatter. Or do I? Oh, come on, UI, fix yourself. Yeah, tier 6 level of harvest, in which case, yeah, we'll take it off. Make that into a crappy grey item that can get sold now. I've got one of these set staffs already. Where is it? There. Pick up the right one. 7862. Right, those are identical in that regard. That's got more lightning damage but less mana. Yeah, we definitely want to take lightning damage all the way, so that one can get flogged and that one gets kept. Then in terms of these, what I'm interested in, that I'm not interested in, that I'm not interested in, that I am very interested in because it's tier 6 increased necrotic damage. So what we're trying to get on our purple staff is we are trying to get 4 really good affixes, 2 good prefixes, 2 good suffixes, because it has to have 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes in order to craft it into a legendary. And the item, the unique you're using, could rip any 1 to 4 of those. So you don't want 1 really good one that you gamble on, but 3 really crap ones, so that if it pulls 1 of those, you're stuffed. You want your 1 really good one, you know, you want to sit there and go, please take 300% increased necrotic damage. But if you don't, and then I've got cast speed on here, and I've got necrotic resistance, and I've got, you know, whatever it is, crit strike immunity or whatever, you want every time it hits to be like, well, okay, could have been better, but I'm happy enough with it. At least that's how I see it. I've only crafted 1 legendary and it was rubbish. So we definitely want to hang on to that. Other than that, this is what happens when I try and put them in very specific places rather than just dropping them in. Forget it, drop them in. Right, what's that belt? Void resistance. We're not bad on void resistance. Physical resistance would be useful. Minion damage is a waste of time. Is that a T7? T6. Ugh. Don't care. Right, we've distracted ourselves long enough. We've still got a lot of dudes to crush. So we're nowhere near tier 7 yet in Circle of Fortune, nowhere near level 7. We have made level 78, and we are starting to push on towards the next quest node in here. In fact, if we mop this one up really heavily, we stand a chance. We're not going to, though. We're going to do a gold run and then an XP run, which should then unlock the second quest echo. Where are we? Slave patrolling desecrated fleshes. Yeah, oh, I mean, the thing is, when I go over here, there's stuff off screen over here that already died while I was trying to kill the one thing down here, and I was thinking, oh, it's not doing a lot of damage to that. It's like, no, it's not. But you have killed 5 other things off screen over here that you didn't even realise. So it could be worse. Yeah, I mean, some stuff's dying quite quickly, actually. This is okay. Ooh, what are those? Boots of the Giant. Health and health regen. Elemental res. Fire damage. See, we do fire damage with quite a few of our skills, so I'm not averse to fire damage, actually. So much so we will grab that. That was the fire one, wasn't it? Yeah. Right, profane fleshes. The one down here looks like it's closer to us from the way it's moving. Could be wrong. And we'll go back to the way we were playing this, which is chuck out the thing, move on. And then we can always do that if we need to. I mean, look at that. The other thing that will scale this really, really well... Yeah, there is a lot more DPS because it's hitting 9 targets guaranteed instead of... And because the range is outside the screen, it's basically 9 guaranteed targets instead of 2 or 3 possible targets. and only after they've already been cursed and have therefore already taken significant damage. Therefore you're overkilling a lot but not actually making the most of the damage you're applying. It feels smoother, which I really like. Oh yeah, mana and mana regen is one of my favourite affixes, and that has it in spades. See, it works both ways as well. If you curse them before the rift hits them, before the Chthonic Fissure hits them with Chaos Bolts, they take more damage because they've already been cursed and they've already got stacks of... I think they get stacks of Marked for Death and stacks of whatever the other thing is. In fact, they get stacks of Damned as well. Because I spec'd Soul Feast. This is the other one that's quite interesting. So Damned is a damage over time necrotic spell. And I spec'd Soul Feast so that it has a 1% chance to damn targets on hit for every 1 point of intelligence I have. Well, I have 95 int, so at the moment it's 95, but soon it will be a 100% chance. So all I have to do is hold the button down, and not only will it curse them and then rip the curse out, but it will put a necrotic damage over time guaranteed on 10 or 11 things at once without me having to click on them, even when they're off screen. So it does feel pretty good. You only have to click it once, and because it applies Damned, actually, if I do that, click it once and just keep moving, everything takes massive damage over time. Watch this. Even the stuff that lives doesn't stay alive. I can just zap it once and move on. So for speedrunning, it really is working. What's that? Quiver. Don't care. I unequivocally don't care. Right, I'm doing that annoying thing that you occasionally do with creatures in this, where you just run round the houses trying to find the damn thing. That's freeze rate multiplier, no thank you. Ah, there's another one. Frailty on melee hit, lightning damage. I'll take frailty on melee hit, but it's not something I'm going to use particularly, therefore I probably shouldn't even bother. I know it's tier 7, but yeah, look, it's gone right behind me again now. It's patrolling up this way. You stop for 2 seconds to look at a piece of gear and the bloody thing's running behind you. Right. Eat this. Yeah, okay, against minor boss creatures, it's ridiculous, because I clicked it once then, so I did this, right, I clicked it once, that does a drain, and then the hits from this do so much more damage. The rift itself, the Chthonic Fissure, does amplified damage against damned and cursed targets. So it's definitely an improvement. And we hit the maximum bonus stability for this one, which means we might just have second quest ready. Don't care about any of that. Oh, so close. Right, we'll grab the XP. We'll do the next one. Where are we at? 20 past 8. So this is what we're going to go for. We're going to go and do this, grab the XP that we get from this. What do we have to do? Slay enemies until we locate the reef gate. This also really works on the way this build has always worked, which is run forwards, throw down a dot, and then keep running and let the rift thing do the damage for you while you're gone. This now works way more because you can also hit things ahead of you before you even get there, as well as stuff that you've just walked past and left. So it's really good for farming stability, because you don't have to go and find and kill every individual creature on the map the way that you do with the Forge Guard build, for example, because it's a melee build. You've got to go and find them, get to them, hit them with a sword, wait for them to die. With this, you do that and then you just keep moving, and while you're gone, the Chthonic Fissure is busy mopping stuff up for you, and you can even be pre-killing things that are over here. Yeah, I would like to get the damage back up to about 8,000 DPS, because that's when it really felt beastly, but at the moment that would just be overkill. So I'm not complaining. Right, let's test it against a gate, because gates can get a bit hectic. Oh, okay. Less hectic. I mean, some of the stuff there didn't even look like it spawned properly. It was just, it was just popping as it came in. Yeah, I'm sold. I'm definitely sold. This is the way to go. I almost like the fact that it doesn't work perfectly. Yes, it does. It does feel like old school WoW Warlock. Yeah. But I do like the fact that it doesn't quite work perfectly because our build isn't right for it. You know, we've shoehorned an awesome legendary into awesome unique. It is not a legendary yet, but we will get a legendary capable version. But we've shoehorned it into a build that was working, and it now does something slightly different. But we can fix that. We know what's changed. We've lost a load of ward, which we can put back up by changing some of our other abilities and parameters. And we need more damage, so we need to scale necrotic damage and intellect. Those are the things that will scale this massively. We could also do with finding a +3 version of it, so we can put a load more damage nodes into skills in the tree, and then it really will shred. The best one I saw for this, so I've mentioned this a few times, Aaron Action RPG did a build using this staff. His was quite different to mine. I had a look at his yesterday, which I said I wasn't going to do a lot of looking at other people's builds, but I wanted to see how he'd done it, because there were a couple of skills that, particularly Soul Feast, I didn't really understand what I should be doing with it. I'm actually doing something quite different with Soul Feast than he is, because his isn't a low life build. So my build is, my passives are completely different to his. Most of my skills are a little bit or a lot different, because mine's built around this low life sustain. Not because it's more optimal, but because I wanted to try low life and I wanted to try this staff. So we're going to do our version of it and see how it works. But when he got his, he got one with 1 legendary potential, and he had a tier 7 plus 93% cast speed on a purple staff. And being the jammy bugger he is, he went in and did the smash the legendaries together, and he pulled off the tier 7 plus 93% cast speed. Now you imagine this casting at more than double the speed by the time he'd scaled it with some other stuff, and it doesn't matter how much, you know, that it just doubles that DPS basically. It'll go up to 12k, still doing what it does, still not actually killing his mana because he had a slightly better mana base than I did. It was insane to behold. Like, he would just sit here and do this, and everything would be dead for about a screen and a half, and then he'd move on and collect whatever they dropped. I mean, even I'm doing that to a degree, actually. I'm not using the... Look at that, I'm not using Chthonic Fissure. I'm just doing this, and that's if I stop to do it. If I just run up to here and just go, ha 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 ha. Those are bosses, those are like mini-bosses, they're dead. Because they start taking this massive and because they're mini bosses, it casts the Chthonic Fissure for me. So I mean, this really is a one button build. I can just do this and wait for it. There's my fissure. It's cast my fissure for me, and it's killed everything. All I've got now, all I'm using is my mouse. This is my other hand. I'm running around with my mouse. I haven't looked at what the quest is yet. I'm using my right button to cast the one skill I need. I cannot be killed. I'm not doing my move thing or anything. What am I doing? Destroy internal fleshes and soul furnaces. Let's see if we can do this whole thing one-handed, so to speak. This is kind of crazy. The only thing I need this hand for is pressing tab, because I need to see where the map goes. Okay, we'll go around this way. Yeah. I'm going to say that this has helped. Because the build couldn't do this before. It's not optimal, we're not speedrunning this, but by all rights we shouldn't be able to do this at all. Like before, if I wasn't manually casting Chthonic Fissures, going into Profane Veil to protect myself, and using Transplant to move quicker, this all felt really quite clumsy, but as it stands... Right, there's a boss up here. These are the two of the soul furnaces or infernal fleshes we have to kill. So let's go see how long they'll last. This build is so good, it's making my arm tired. Right, scorpions. Actually, I need to kill scorpions for a prophecy, so I should be paying more attention than this. Where's... there it is. Whoa. Right, that is the soul furnace. Now I'm letting it do quite a lot of damage to me because I've not got any of my defensive skills, but... Right, there's my infernal flash. Right, there we go. Now look at that. Because the chthonic fissure triggers on hitting a boss, it always targets the boss when it fires the fissure out as well. So you don't even have to worry about missing the boss with the fissure, it always lands on them, which is pretty powerful. Well, I think we've proven the point. Oh, I'm too old and achy to hold my arm like that. Oh, you see, I've still got to make the agonising decision about whether a pair of boots that just dropped is worth taking or not. But I don't want it as a one-button build. I want to be able to do my skip, I want to be able to do my Profane Veil. But I think if you can play it as a one-button build in terms of utility, it takes some of that focus away from some of the fiddly stuff. Like, it's the opposite of my Forge Master build, which is all making sure you're keeping 18 swords summoned all at once and you're proccing all your things. And it's completely different to how this was before, but I like the idea of one spell that procs everything else. But now that we've got one button, Soul Feast will proc Chthonic Fissure. Chthonic Fissure casts Chaos Bolts, and Chaos Bolts proc 100% of the, or 95% of the time they proc Rip Blood, and every time they hit a curse target, which they always will now, they are proccing Bone Curse. I just sort of wondered if you could do it, and you really can. You can spec this so that you press one button and it casts all the 5 spells you've specialised in. I'm still manually casting some of them. And I've got 2 on here that I'm not specialised in, which this is the other thing I quite like. So, because I've got 5 skills I'm specialised in, but three of them, I'm always going to be casting the Rift. When I'm actually playing, casting the Rift first is a much more effective way of doing things. But if I'm casting the Rift and then doing the Soul Feast, and the Soul Feast is casting the other 3, that leaves me 3 slots on my bar for skills that I could use. Now, as it is, I'm only using 2 of them because I don't know what I put on as my last one. Like, originally I had the Bone Golem, but unspec'd at this level, the Bone Golem's just doing so little damage. Yeah, that's not bad. So what I've got on is I've got Profane Veil, unspec'd, nothing other than the absolutely base game, the absolute base skill, no additional abilities, but still, I guarantee to dodge every hitting attack while I do that, and it moves through things, and it hits them with damage over time, necrotic. And then I've got Transplant, which actually does a pretty decent chunk of damage, and moves me anywhere I'm pointing on my screen, even all the way over here, once it's cooled down. So I could just transplant to there, or I could transplant right into this far top corner in the top left. So it's really useful for... I've been using it to dodge telegraph attacks and that kind of thing from big bosses. But neither of those has any skill points in it, and doesn't need it, because for what I need them to do, they're perfectly useful unspec'd. It just gives you way more flexibility. It's kind of cool. But I'm also already thinking of a new rogue build that I might try at some point, and that I think is going to be much more action heavy. Ooh, there you go. I said I wanted 78 tonight, maybe 79. We've been messing around for a bit. This is the second quest of this thing, so we're going to need to get a move on if we want to beat the boss and get into empowered monoliths, which is our other objective. But we have hit 79, which I'm pretty pleased with. And partially that's because the way this build works, it kills so much stuff off screen that you're getting the most out of your XP farm without ever having to go and find those creatures. Right, so now we need to do another echo to remind the game that we've finished the second quest and not have to do the pair of them again. But first I want to finish that. I'm tempted to put my next 3 points here for another 2 intelligence and here for another 1, which will take me very, very close to having 100 intelligence, and that as soon as I tip over from 99 to 100, I get one extra target on my soul feast. So that could be kind of cool. What have we got? Let's just do a very quick run. Have we got any XP nodes? No, we don't. We're going to go... Well, we'll run gold. If in doubt, run gold. Slay enemies to lure out an ambush. That we can do. Yep, increased damage over time actually suits me quite nicely because we're now doing a lot of damage over time with a lot of abilities. That was apparently a good idol. It came up as highlighted that it had 2 affixes. Well, it either had one affix I really want, or both of the affixes on it were something I quite like, which is where I've got them to emphasise. Right, slay all enemies to lure out an ambush. You know, you'd think I'd have read that like 2 seconds ago and would remember. Chance to shock attackers. Oh, necrotic penetration. Yes, please. Who doesn't love necrotic penetration? No answers, please. We get anything good? A dagger of binding. That's got increased necrotic damage, which I don't need to rip off. I think I've got. I will take some just in case. I don't know how many shards I've got for that. I like area. That's LA for. Area for melee area skills, and I need area for area spells, but I am really keen to test this against that. Oh, we do. That was it apparently. I didn't realise that. That was the ambush. Ambushes are normally a bit scarier than that. Right. So I really want to test it against this final level 90 boss, which is actually 3 guys. Summoning some kind of fire ritual. Right, you can go up there this way. Oh, 100% crit chance now. It's really over the top. As soon as we get the 100% crit chance shrine. It's a silly, silly ability. This gives us an idea what damage it would do. So it's now doing 10,800. So if I could scale it to do a genuine 10,800, this is what it would be doing. Yeah, it's pretty good. And at level 90, we don't have to scale it very far for it to do that either. You know, getting it up to 10k damage is not difficult. We've not really put any points into scaling damage other than we've been scaling intelligence for other reasons. And intelligence does scale damage on all of our spells, as it is our primary stat for spell damage. This way. Right, we're about to lose the 100% crit strike. Yeah, so we're no longer doing 100% crit strike, and you can tell that, but it does still do a pretty decent chunk of damage. Oh, Rune of Removal. So the Rune of Removal is that one we've been using to pull things off and get 100% of the shards back. Slay the Temple Guardian. With pleasure. This is a really, really nice monolith farming build. I know I sort of said it a minute ago, but everything we've run past, we've killed even without trying. Oh, good ward per second. We've pretty much run out of space with all the crazy purples we've picked up. Right, don't care about that. I want that. What are you? You're a bird of some description. Here we go. Oh wow, Temple Guardian's a big boy. I remember you from the campaign. I don't remember you from this. You are not memorable. Fantastic. Look at that, we got double shards. So many shards that we can't pick them all up at once. Ace. We're up to 8,500 shards, which is more than I have on my legacy account now. I think I have officially played more Cycle 1 than I played any of Legacy in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. And the game is in a better state, still loads of fun. So here we are, right, we are on 3869, 3870. That's sort of our balance point at the moment. We're going to skyrocket that. Every time we get necrotic resist, we're obviously going to get more because of the helmet, which gives us 1 ward per second for every 3 uncapped necrotic resist. We can also do a couple of things. We can take things like this that increase our ward decay threshold. We can take items that increase our ward decay threshold, like the offhand that we did have, and a few other bits. I've also got this, which I can scale my ward retention by another 25% per point, which is not too shabby. We'll be getting another 3 intellect from here, which scales your ward retention. And then I've got a couple of nodes I'm going to take in Warlock, which won't do anything for my ward retention or anything like that. We are going to up this to 5, which will give us a bit more damage over time and a bit more health, which will increase our ward again. But it will give us 4% more damage over time to cursed enemies. And because every time I click Soul Feast now, it automatically curses, 10 of them. That will help. And we're going to take this, which will give us a 5% chance to do double damage. So not a crit, just 5% chance that when you hit, you'll do double damage. And per curse on the target, it will go up by another 1%. So we'll have a 6% chance on a single click that it will do double damage. So that'll be pretty good. And I'm going to put this on, which is 100% chance on hit to apply Withering. And we take, so when I do Soul Feast, I've already spec'd Soul Feast, so that on hit it applies 3 stacks of Withering automatically. And Withering is an ailment, it's not a curse, but it's an ailment that increases damage taken from curses by 10%. Lasts up to 6 seconds. It can stack 20 times, so they can end up taking 200% more damage. So every time I hit with Soul Feast, I apply 3 Withering stacks. When I've spec'd to the maximum here, it will apply 4 Withering stacks each time, and I'll take 8% less damage from all those creatures that got hit, because they will be withered. So I've got a few little tweaks to the build, but I'm not going any further than here in the Warlock tree. I'm going to take nodes here, here and here. We're not going that far into Warlock. I just wanted to use some of these Warlock skills. And we're going to go pretty heavy into Lich at the end of here and here. And that'll be pretty much us done. We're not going anywhere near Necromancer, because Necromancer, all the passives are about either minion buffing, and we don't have any minions, or health regain, and we don't want that at all. It's the last thing we want. Right, I want to do 2 things. I want to see how close we are. Oh, we're going to be pretty pressed, actually. What are we on? We're on 20 to 9 now. Let's make a bit of space, and let's try and just speed run some stuff. We're going to make some room. 32% with 25% ward retention. Ooh. That's 28. That's very tempting. That's really, really tempting for later. We'll fiddle around with this offline. Right, don't care about that. Increased fire damage. That I really like, with damage over time. It's a spear though. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go in here and we're going to go these are all things we need to look at and filter later. And not a single one of them is legendary, so I won't get confused. Well, I might get confused, but I shouldn't do. Right, let's see if we can push some pretty big ones. 10 to 32, 11 to 25. There we go, we'll do that. Just so that we can get, because we'll get better items if we get into empowered monoliths. So we're not going to get fussy, we're just going to bum rush all these. Destroy both flame spires. Right. We're going to try and finish the next few echoes as quickly as possible. We're not going to worry about looting anything, not even crafting materials, unless, you know, if we see any rare crafting materials drop, we'll pick those up, because some of those are absolutely worth our time. But unless we see something really special, we're not even going to stop and evaluate items, we're just going to run through. And because we're not stopping to evaluate items, I won't know if I haven't picked up the most amazing thing that could ever have dropped, and I won't feel bad about it. Yeah, I'm going to say that the single target boss damage based on that is really good, because these spires normally take forever. And that was really quick. Right, we're going to do 2 XP ones back to back. See if we can push up towards 80. We're not going to get to 80 tonight, but we're not going to be far off, I don't think, if we do both of them at speed. Slay enemies to find Praetor Volatra. Yeah, it's pretty quick. Shouldn't be picking up shards, especially not shards for stuff I don't need. Right, we've got ourselves Volatra on the map. I'm just doing the odd click as we go through to try and max the stability without spending any extra time, so that we can get to the boss in 2 echoes, maybe 3 echoes, and then have a shot at him tonight, or them tonight, all 3 of them. And if we get it done, yeah, it's a really good map clear. We're about to find, when we get to empowered monoliths, I suspect, that the build doesn't feel like this anymore, because our damage is not going to be enough to be wiping stuff like this, and we're going to start taking hits as well. But for this level, for normal monoliths, dead easy. X-Pizzle. And again. And then we need probably 1 or 2 more after this. The fact that 15 waves of enemies, I mean, that's not terrible, because this is a very good build for killing things you cannot see off screen. And you can click it and it shows you where they're coming from as well, which is quite useful. And I can just walk around doing this and nothing should make it to me. This is probably the quickest way actually to beat the arena type levels. I mean, look at that. Very few things are actually getting to me. But the empowered monoliths are a totally different deal. So I think we're going to find out stuff does not die at the same pace, and our survivability is nowhere near as good. But I think we're probably going to still find it a little bit easier than the Beastmaster does in terms of both survivability and damage. Beastmaster has to be hitting things in melee to get his health back, which means you've got to be at risk in maps that things can one-shot you in. And we've got more survivability than the Beastmaster because we've got a better health pool, and that health regens more quickly. So we haven't got the benefit of endurance, and we haven't got the benefit of some of the crit strike avoidance, but I still think we're going to be better in both regards. But I do think it's going to feel a bit slower when we get into the Corruption 100 stuff. Right, oh, there you go, staffs, rare staffs, and if we do it right, it will be enough to unlock the boss. So here we are. We're not far off, actually. I was going to stream until maybe 9:15, and we might just get the chance to try a few empowered monoliths. I think we'll die in some, don't get me wrong. But I was saying at the start of the stream, my Beastmaster is currently dying in 50% or more of the empowered monoliths that he does. You know, we go in and we probably die in 2 out of every 3, maybe not quite that many, and you've got to be really paying attention. I think this build will make that feel a little bit easier. We'll die plenty, but we'll gain more XP being an empowered, and we'll gain better gear. Right, I'm going the wrong way. Seal the storm gate. Right, I'm definitely going to stop and just see what the... Oh, that's got 2 tier 6s on it. Great, not for this build. Anything that pops up in red is either a tier 7 affix, which is the highest possible roll in the game, or it's 2 tier 6 or mores. And we did have one earlier tonight that was 1 tier 6 and 1 tier 7 on the same exalted item, which is madness. If you get those to drop as well-rolled versions of something you actually want for your build, that's about the best item you're going to get in the game. Definitely take necrotic damage that's rolled in exalted status. Oh my god, they're dropping like flies now. Minion health. We haven't hit tier 7. I keep thinking that maybe we've hit tier 7 on the Circle of Fortune because suddenly we're getting loads and loads of drops. And maybe it's just because we're in level 90 monoliths, not level 58 monoliths like I was yesterday. What am I doing? Going and closing the gate. Right. Shut the gate. I mean, that is obscenely easy. Critical strike avoidance we definitely want as a god roll. That's a rare and difficult thing to find, and super useful. You know what? We are not as far from level 80 as I thought we would be by the end of tonight. I seem to remember last night saying if I play this character long enough to maybe get it to level 85 or whatever it was the Saturday night when we streamed, you know, if we get it to 85, maybe I'll consider treating myself to the cosmetics for the necro. I did not think we'd be getting there in a couple of days. I thought it might be a week down the line and we'd be getting vaguely closer. Yep, no worries, buddy. Thank you for joining me. Pop back if you get the chance for the VOD, because I'm about to do one more run and then we're going to fight the last boss, and I will show on stream how we open up the legendary or whatever it is, empowered monoliths, but they'll be on the VOD. But thank you very much for joining me, mate. Have a good dinner. Ooh, what's that? That is in caps. Yeah, it's not quite as important for me that anymore, because it was 3 extra bolts when casting chaos bolts, but you have to be directly casting them. It's not for when something else procs them for you. And that was back when I was directly casting them, which I'm not now. Right, what am I doing here? Seal the vile gate. Okay. I can't be doing with vile gates. I think my next priority after the stream ends, I'm not talking about tonight because I'm burnt out, but before the next stream, my next priority is definitely to fix my loot filter, because we're starting to see far too much crap drop, and I know really what I'm looking for now. If I'm happy with the build the way it is, and I can't see any reason I wouldn't be at the moment in its current state, I know what I'm farming, I know what exalteds I need to get to go in my legendaries, I know which slots aren't going to have legendaries in them, and therefore I need to find just good exalteds for that I can use as bases. So I think I need to start filtering down by item type. How are you not dead? I just closed the gate. And then we start worrying about picking stuff up, because if I filter it properly, we won't see very many things each run, but every time we do, there'll be exactly the sort of thing we're looking for. Right, there's no way we have not unlocked the boss now. And we've got loads of room, so let's go do this. Caldera of Souls. We've got 3 fire summoning monster shaman dudes. And we need to batter them. How much damage are they going to take? I mean, they do a lot of AoE. I have to remember I can only have one fissure open at a time, so there's no point in me going ham on the fissure button. I mean, they do call a lot of these down, but I mean, these are proper level 90 end of monolith bosses, so they're not messing about. But I don't think we're in great danger of losing this one, especially as one of them is now dead, I think. 2 of them are dead. 3 of them are dead. Done. Echo conquered. Right, we get to choose a blessing, finally. Anything good? I've not had a single decent blessing on any monolith run so far. Fire resist is okay. Stun duration is not. Armor while channeling is not. I don't channel anything. I don't do stun stuff. Fire res is the best I can take, but I'm already way over capped on it without really trying. Still, there we go. Right, grab everything he drops just because. Increase fire damage. Ooh, it's got health regen on it. It's not for this build. Might work for other stuff, but not for this. Right, so let me show you how one empowers monoliths. So what we do is we go over here. So if we look at the map, between Spirits of Fire, Reign of Dragons, Age of Winter and the Last Ruin, all of which we finished, they all lead into this central plateau. And what you're going to see as I go there is there's a hole in the floor that will mend itself, and it will allow us access to this central node. And if we click it, we will get empowered monoliths, which are all level 100 and start at corruption 100, which you can attempt to conquer timelines at a higher difficulty. Good for me. Now, arguably, there's a number of places I could now go to. So all of these are now level 100. Even the first one, which was 58, everything is level 100, and the corruption will be 100. And I can choose whether I want to do them empowered or normal, and they both progress separately, and doing one doesn't reset the other, so I'm under no pressure to do them. The Stolen Lance has an increased drop rate for rare staffs, I believe, which is great for me to find another better version of my Wheel of Torment, or a really nice purple staff that I can use to smash into a later Wheel of Torment for crafting a legendary. But the Fall of the Outcasts, I currently have a 34% increased gold drop rate as my blessing. You can get a huge XP blessing from here, so I think what we need to do now is go back to this, farm it until we can hit the boss, kill the boss and try and get the XP blessing as early as possible, for the simple reason that we're nearly level 80 now. But you require the same amount of XP to go from level 90 to 100 in this game as you do from level 1 to 90. So we're not even halfway through leveling to 100. So the best way that we can possibly do this is to try and get that XP buff early. So I'm not going to go and start running it now particularly, but I want to try at least one Echo now and see if we just get steamrollered. Because I've no feeling for how survivable this low life build is in a level 100 empowered monolith. So I'm level 79, they will be level 100, so they're 21 levels higher than me. That's not a massive deal, because I'm pretty confident in the build, but it's also corruption 100. That means that on top of being 20 levels higher than me, every creature in every run, before any other modifiers are applied, and there will be other modifiers, all of them are going to be at plus 60% health and plus 60% damage. So for all of the outcasts, we can now choose normal. Normal gives us a minimum corruption of 0, maximum of 50. In this one, corruption increases the rarity of our Echo rewards. It's a minimum corruption 100 and there is no maximum corruption. So we'll go into the empowered, and because we've not done empowered before, this is it, brand new. Up here we've got our corruption. So the corruption is giving us 60% more health and damage to enemies. We can fill the bar up as usual, but we can, now that we've done it once, we can skip these first two quests. Those are now optional quest echoes, so I can just go straight up until we hit that, and then click here and go and fight that boss. We don't have to redo the quest echoes, which is really, really nice. So let's run through here. I think one or two of these should get us enough XP to ding level 80, which would be cool. What are we doing? Slay enemies to lure out an ambush. Ambush could be pretty deadly in this, and I'm suddenly going to have to pay attention and actually start playing, although damage isn't terrible. Yeah, we are able to get rid of stuff, which is nice. What's that? That is, oh yeah, like that a lot. That's +4 to summon Wraith. Okay. Just getting used to quite where I've gone right and wrong with these filters. I followed a different loot filter guide this time round, and I tried something different, and I've liked some bits about it and I've disliked some others, but I've learnt a lot about different ways to prioritise loot filters. The way that I'm using here at the moment is actually a lot less labour intensive, and it hides less stuff. The emphasis is on me to make the choices, not the filter, which I quite like. I didn't like it to start with because too much stuff was dropping and I was spending too much time looking at it, but I think that's one way to learn the itemization in this game, is to learn to your own sort of mental filter. Right, so the trash mobs just melt. Everything else is not quite so melty. In terms of damage, I've not seen us get too low so far, but I've not really been paying attention either, so... Yeah, we're not there. See, there's level 80. We haven't even finished one Echo and we hit level 80. That's the difference leveling in empowered monoliths gives you. Even if you're going to die an awful lot, I think it's probably worth us sticking only in the empowered monos from now on. But actually, first proof of concept is, can we do one? I'm going to be very disappointed if we can't do one. Whether we'll do this one, I don't know. I mean, we can definitely still die in them, but also we are capable of these. We've got the damage, we've got the defensibility. This is working. This build is working. If we can up the damage a bit and then get some of that ward back that we lost, we will be laughing in these early ones, which means that we can actually start working on corruption. That's a good way to do it. We don't have to, we don't have to power farm corruption. Now look at this. This is the actual boss of the monolith. This is the Echo boss, the Scarab Broodkeeper. We're doing damage to him. Nothing like as crazy as we were before, and he is doing damage to us. But we finished the Echo. We absolutely did it first go. So that is not terrible. I have no idea what I'm picking up now. I'm just getting too excited with myself. But look at that. Just shred. Absolute shred. No. No, no. Oh, where did you come from? Alright, stop throwing things on the ground now. There's only so much stuff. I definitely need to mess around with this loot filter. This is far too brutal. +3 to Chaos Bolts. Definitely want that. I think that was probably on a chest piece. Wasn't really paying attention. Oh, we've got a Dagger of Wounds. That's got a tier 7 on it. Tier 7 cast speed. Can't see me using a dagger, but... okay, I'll take a legendary quiver. Right, so... in summary, we started this character, I believe, on Friday. We streamed it first on Saturday. And at that point, we were still trying to defeat the campaign. We still are. But today, we're in Empowered Monoliths. We're going to hit that, which is going to give us 2 more points of int, which is going to give us 97 intelligence. We're nearly up to the level where we're going to get an extra person when we do our Torment staff. And we are just over 900 now. We've made about 100 extra ward. So, thank you guys for popping in and watching. Cardjack, Darkshire, great to see you boys. I'm quite excited by this. I think we've got the start of this build, but now that we can run Empowered Monoliths, we can do in-game content. I think this build is capable of doing definitely tier 2, maybe tier 3 Julra, which is the Temporal Sanctum. That's where we need to go to craft our legendary items. So I think tier 3 Temporal Sanctum lets us craft up to level 80 uniques into legendary items, which I think means that our level 75 staff, we need to run a tier 3. I'm excited to try it. We've got keys coming out of anywhere we can think of to do that. We've got another one there, Temporal Sanctum key. So in terms of keys, Lightless Arbor, we've got a billion of them, but Temporal Sanctum, we've got a pretty good rundown too. So we've got some arena we can do, we've got some dungeons we can do at various levels. I need to do the early levels. What? Maybe I don't need to do the early levels of the arena. Maybe I can use a key of memory. Oh, that's only an endless, isn't it? I'm still going to have to go through the early stages. But we will fly through the arena with this build. We'll fly through the early Lightless Arbor and Soulfire Bastions. We'll do the early Temporal Sanctums. We'll unlock some stuff. We'll get ready to craft legendaries. I've said this with the Forge Guard and with the Beastmaster, that they were my mains, and that's what I was going to do. This is the first time I felt like, not I'm going to smack my face into Empowered Monoliths for a few weeks until I get bored and make a new character, but I know exactly what I want to do. I've got this with 1 legendary potential. I want to find a version of the Exsanguinous with legendary potential. I want a Wheel of Torment with legendary potential, and then I want to make each of these 3 items into a decent legendary. During which time we want tier 7 and tier 6 necrotic resist plus other good stats. For example, this one has ward decay threshold and necrotic resistance, so I want 2 ivory rings, and I want those ivory rings to both be exalted, and we're going to roll through with them and see what else we can get. I'm not fully decided on this yet. It's got good necro damage, but there's other relics we can use. So we're going to start refining our build. I'm going to do a bit more on the build planner with gear to try and work out what we should be target farming, and then I'm going to make myself an end game loot filter that really shreds down to just the things that we want to see. And then we'll be able to push through some of those echoes, and sometimes we might only see 3 items drop, and we'll just click them. We won't look at them, we'll just pick them up, because if they've got through the loot filter, they're good for us in some way, and that will make the game quicker again. I hope you'll join me next time. We'll see. We're going to be pushing harder content. We're going to be farming some high level stuff, and as we say, if we can get another 24 followers and we can push ourselves up to affiliate status at some point, there will be a drunkathon where we play hardcore characters with alcohol on stream and see how many of them die and how far I can get. Can I get beyond the first starter zone You know, if we die 3 times on a rogue, maybe I'll roll something else, but, you know, I don't even know what I'm going to run yet. But for now, definitely my new main, and just to prove it, let's just have a look at where we are in game. You know, it's all very well and good to say, well, you put all that time and effort into the Beastmaster, though. Yes, I did, and the Beastmaster was 10 levels higher than my Forge Guard was. My Forge Guard I played for longer than either the Beastmaster or this Warlock. But my Beastmaster, I've completely exited the game there. That's not what I meant to do at all. Hang on a sec. What I was going to show you was this. So, my Beastmaster has just got into Empowered Monoliths, has probably run 5 or 6 Echoes, and has probably finished 2 of them. That's where the Beastmaster is. That's where it's stuck. It's not completely stuck. I just need to do some crafting. I need to do some building around it. I need to get it to a functional place, and we're not quite there. We've just done a level 100 Empowered Echo with the Warlock, and I think it's quite comfortable there. I'm not going to say there won't be Echoes where we die, but I think that will be more rare than not at 100 corruption. Obviously, as we push past 100 corruption and we challenge the game more, that will get higher. But at the moment, I think that damage and survivability both feel better on the Warlock than they do on the Beastmaster. And if we have a look, okay, I've not been playing the Warlock very long compared to the Beastmaster, but we're level 80, we're only 6 levels below, and getting 6 levels in Empowered Monos is not that difficult. I mean, what did we do tonight? 76 to 80. We did 4 levels tonight in non-empowered, no corruption, level 90 monoliths. So we're going to do level 100 corruption monoliths now, which will gain us XP faster. We'll need more, but it will gain us XP faster. I don't think it will take too long to rival the Beastmaster and even push towards the mythical 90s with the Warlock. But definitely my new main needs some work. Like the legendary item, don't like the version I've got. I want one that's got +3 to all acolyte skills, and I want one with some legendary potential. I want an Exsanguinous body armour with legendary potential. I would like a helmet, and I've seen one of them, but it has worse resists and stuff. I'd like a helmet with 2 legendary potential, maybe a bit more. 2 would be nice. And then I want to start smashing together some legendaries, and we'll see where we get to. So we're right at the beginning of the journey, but this is starting to feel... I'm going to tweak the skills a bit, because I think now I know how it feels to click the button and play it. It isn't exactly the way I thought it was going to be. Not in a bad way, it's just different, because I had no idea. So we're going to tweak a few things, but I am enjoying this. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I hope you'll join me on the continuing journey. I'll be back on Friday, if not before, and I will see you guys then. Until then, continue to be great people, be excellent to each other. Goose out.